Welcome back to Capital Tonight. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg got about $3 billion richer while he was testifying before Congress this week. That's because the company's stock gained about 3%. Since most of Zuckerberg's wealth is tied up in Facebook stock, the rise benefited him handsomely. His testimony came after revelations that a data firm with ties to the 2016 Trump campaign accessed millions of Facebook users' data without their knowledge. The firm Cambridge Analytica used the data to target voters. Joining us now to discuss the Facebook fallout further, Catherine McLean, founder and CEO of the Mach 1 Group, as well as a crisis communications specialist. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, I always love being here. Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you back. Well, he's getting richer. The shares are going up. Saying sorry, a good thing for Zuckerberg here at these congressional hearings over the last couple of days?
It was pretty much the only option. It was the only strategy for him. And you look at other industries where CEOs have had to come give a similar performance in Washington. And, you know, if you think back to the financial crisis 2008, there are certainly good examples and bad examples to follow. And clearly Mark Zuckerberg chose Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, who was very contrite, very apologetic, very willing to accept responsibility, and very willing to work with lawmakers, which certainly was a strategy that paid off for him. And Zuckerberg's getting good marks for his performance too.
Yeah, what do you think this means for his business, for Facebook? Do you think that we'll see regulations from Congress, that they start to put legislation forward to enact some regulations?
You know, if the American public and taxpayers have to sit through 2 weeks of Cambridge Analytica and Facebook and watch, 2 days worth of hearings in the House and the Senate and nothing happens, I think you'll have a lot of frustrated voters.
Yeah.
But Congress has the lowest approval rating in history for a reason, right? We will definitely see legislation out of this. The interesting thing will be to watch who does it first, and does each party have their own package, and how much influence does Facebook, the company that spent almost $12 million on lobbying just Washington last year, have on the process?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch. I mean, when you work with groups, businesses, talk to them about crisis communications, especially in circumstances like this, what is your main message to them? I know that there's been talk about Facebook, getting an outside group to come in and look at them. Are those the types of things that you encourage people to do when they're in such situations?
Well, you have to read the tea leaves. It's the most important thing. And if you are part of an industry that is being drug up to Capitol Hill to give an accounting for yourself, as we've seen the tobacco industry, the oil and gas industry, the banking industry have to do, you better have a strategy. And in this case, it was a mitigation strategy, which is, the options available to lawmakers are an investigation, more oversight, but no business wants Uncle Sam looking over their shoulder and rifling through their books and telling them how to do business, right? But when it's inevitable, it's like going to the dentist. Just be pleasant, cooperate, and hopefully nobody will get hurt.
What's your message? I mean, if you can give a message to Facebook in the position that you're in, what would be your message to them moving forward?
You have to regain people's trust. Americans feel betrayed.
Yeah.
Sure, you have a user agreement that no one reads, just like few of us read, most of our user agreements. And we all accept, hey, if I'm, landing in Dallas and I post that online, then sure, I put it out there and that's fair game. But what we didn't know about was what was happening when the app was off, supposedly, or what was happening to our data. So it's going to be really interesting to watch whether there is a gap in the market because the delete Facebook movement continues and grows to encompass other platforms like Instagram. And people want to migrate to something that is more assuring of their trust, their protection, their privacy. So will we see a new model of social network?
I have a kind of twofold question, but first off, do you think that there's a political fallout for Facebook itself with this?
Oh, so I love this question because we saw Democrats sticking to the script this week, right? They asked about privacy, they asked about, people, users' data and how it's being used, etc. Very on message, very topic du jour. Republicans changed the channel to censorship. And, two words that we'll never forget from this week are Diamond and Silk, two sisters from North Carolina who had a very conservative pro-Trump page that Facebook took down because they said it was somehow a danger to the community. Well, these two ladies became the cause célèbre of the Republicans who were in the position to grill Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm sure those two ladies are grateful to be household words now, and lawmakers were grateful to have a perfect example of censorship. So we're going to see privacy legislation, but will we also see measures that hold social networks to the neutrality that a public platform, probably is supposed to have?
What do you think this means for the way members of Congress use Facebook for campaigning for their elected offices? I mean, do you think that we see a shift? We've seen, the delete Facebook movement, but do you think we see more of a shift from members of Congress themselves?
If your constituents are still on Facebook, you got to be on
Right.
Facebook, right? You have to meet your voters and your constituents where they communicate. So it really depends on the direction of users. Are they going to stick to it? Or are they so outraged that they're throwing in the towel? But, once the dust settles, are we all still so enamored with sharing pictures of our sandwiches and our children and our kitties that we can't help ourselves and we pay the price?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest question. What happens with the billions of users?
Yeah.
I mean, how long have I been part of the Facebook world? How long
Right.
have other people? How do you delete an app that's got so many of your memories on it? I mean, what are you hearing from Facebook users themselves on how they move forward with this?
They're angry. They're miffed about what's been happening with their data, but they've got too much skin in the game.
Yeah.
In so many cases. I mean, if you think about the messaging networks and the contacts that you have, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, on a lot of people's Facebook connection list. And it's hard to walk away from, maybe a decade or so of memories and photos and anecdotes that you've shared with friends.
And as he was asked, is there something that rivals this, some competition? So we'll see what else happens and what else is out there. We will definitely continue to discuss it more. Catherine McLean, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon.